Hello everyone, my name is Nolan Pillay. I'm a human mindset specialist, a speaker, a coach, a podcast host, and by trade, I'm an IT professional. And it's my honor and privilege to be speaking to you today on gold. So I was born in a small little town called Pillay and under extreme poverty situations. And when I talk about poverty, I talk about going to school on a cold, rainy day with no jersey or no shoes. And I still remember as well, as a 10-year-old boy, my mom used to make delicacies, Indian delicacies that we had to go out and sell. So I call myself the 10-year-old entrepreneur. But here's the thing though, if we did not make a sale, it just simply meant that we don't have food for that night. And you just have to have water to sustain yourself and go to bed hungry. So now with Eskom in South Africa, we have this problem where we have load shedding. Back then, we could not afford to pay for our electricity. So studying for me was using a small little candle like this and still using that to study for exams, etc. So that's where Nolan started off. Forward a few years, I tried to complete my metric in 1989, but unfortunately I failed my metric year, and there was events that happened after that really made me understand life a bit more. And perhaps we'll talk about one of those incidents a little later and how that kind of transformed my life and the way I started to realize that there's one person that really matters a lot here, and it's this guy right here, Nolan. Yeah, that's a good question. So, one of it was, I wouldn't say it was like a challenge, but when you get to not take home-cooked meal or home lunch into school, other people kind of look down on you, especially when you go to eat the sandwiches that the school provides in peanut butter or jam sandwiches, and people look down on you and they kind of think, okay, what's wrong with this guy? Where's he coming from? And it turns into a bullying tactic as well. So that's just one of it. If I have to speak about the one later on in life, in school, I was excelling in sports. I was a sportsman of the year for 5 years in a row in school level. But here's the thing though, because of what South Africa was going through with apartheid, me being a person of color, I could not represent my country. Yet I had all the skill, had the ability to do it, but it was an obstacle, it was a blocker. But still, I didn't stay in that victim mindset or self-pity mindset because I could understand what was going on, and segregation was a big thing to us. More so, in 1989, when I wrote my metric exams, and if some of the viewers are watching this, they would know back in the day we used to go to the newspaper office and get a newspaper at midnight to check for our names in the paper, whether we pass or fail. And I did that at the Natal Witness. And when I saw that my name didn't appear, I thought something was wrong because I still thought that I'm good in my education. I had everything in check until I went to the school and they told me that I failed. And the situation that happened after was I was depressed and I attempted suicide. Why would I try suicide, you may ask? It's because when you live in a close-knit community or society, you are too embarrassed about what the people will think about you or your family. We were too embarrassed that they will call us failures, etc. And that's exactly what happened. But luckily for me, God was on my side. That very same year, being a person with no metric, I was able to get a job as a packer and a sweeper in a factory. So I was really grateful for being able to earn some funds to help my family. True. So that very same year that I started working in 1989 as a packer and a sweeper, about 6 months into me working on a night shift, there was this question in my head, like, Nolan, is this where you want to be for the rest of your life? And almost immediately there was an answer. I don't know where it was from, my higher purpose, God, whoever it may be. When they asked me this question, I said, no, I'm not going to stay here for the rest of my life. This prompted me to start working overtime, on weekends, late hours, etc., so that I could fund my own studies and grow within the company. And I remember there was this one manager that said to me, he said to me, you won't go far in life. And that was a motivating factor for me because I could have just used that as a negative and said, okay, it's going to hold back my life. But I used it as a positive to go and do my extra studies, eventually becoming an IT professional. Why? Because I chose to. I made the decision to fund my own studies and not stay in that same position in a company. So that was just one of the challenges. There were a lot of challenges back then, right? I'm talking about like 1994, 1995, where racialism was very high in this country. and the way people treated you in the workplace was like you were slaves. That's exactly how it was. So you had to overcome all of that with a positive mindset and realize this is not where I'm going to stay for the rest of my life. Well, if I could go back to that younger self of mine and just look at that situation I was going through, the one thing you must remember is no matter what, in life, it's never going to be a straight line. You're always going to have obstacles. There's always going to be ups and downs. So whenever you go through any situation like this, like suicide, for example, always pause. Think about it. If you still feel you cannot handle this on your own, seek help. There are a lot of professional people out there that are willing to help you. Seek a life coach. Seek somebody who's lived this journey so that they can explain to you and guide you how you can come out from the situation. Because I've learned that suicide is not an answer. And to everyone out there as well, it really is not an answer. I always say to my students that wherever you are now in your life does not have to end where you are. Reach out and learn how to find something more purposeful to do. And believe me, no matter what your situation is, look at me coming from a poverty background, how I've become the CEO of my own company. Because I made the choice to do something differently. You have the choice. You can make the choice. It starts here. A simple mindset shift as to where you want to be for the rest of your life. Remember, it's about you, nobody else. You are living your life, not me. You are living it. So it's really up to you to make the choice and reach out for help. It's the best thing you can do, especially in this generation or in this century. I can tell you something. It's okay not to be okay. It really is okay not to be okay. I do. And people may think that I'm a little crazy when I say this COVID experience that we've all been through, it wasn't a negative situation. Yes, we have lost a lot of people through it, but there were a lot of...
Let's go there.
Wow, yes, I do see so many things that makes me happy. And one of it that really made me happy in the last 3 years is the fact that we went through this COVID experience where COVID did not discriminate against who you was. It didn't care how much money you had in your bank account. It didn't discriminate against who you were, your sex, your race, your religion, nothing at all. But it taught people how to be better humans. And there's so many success stories that have come out from COVID. I'm a personal COVID survivor. I spent 13 days of my life in the intensive care unit with 58% oxygen levels. I almost died on day 6. But what got me through that again was a strong mindset and a willpower to live. Why to live? Because my purpose is not fulfilled. There's so much more I got to do there. And likewise, if people had taken the COVID experience and used it to their benefit, they would have reaped all the joys from it as well. So again, it's a negative situation that the world looked at, but if you can take any negative situation and convert it into a positive, your life will become much, much more fruitful just by that thinking alone. Yeah. Good question. A lot of people look at materialistic things and they see that, equate that to success. To me, if I can add value to another human's life, I feel successful. If I can leave any person that I come across with some impression of increase of value add, then it makes me successful. And why? Because the more I can help other people to become successful or better humans, etc., it helps me become a better person as well. So as a life coach, that's what I actually portray out there, is to help people to become successful in that way. It's not really about money. People think that with social media today and the social media filter system, they think having 1 million followers makes them a successful person. How many of that 1 million followers are genuine followers? Maybe 0.5%. And the wrong thing that a lot of the youth are actually doing now is they're using that in the wrong way. And let me justify this. With the filter system, they allow themselves to be somebody they're not. They're putting on a mask. When you put on a mask, it becomes a very dangerous game. Because let's say they decide to meet for coffee or a date or so, and the guy sees this girl and they say, but wow, you're not the same person I know from social media. Immediately it leads to conflict. Conflict may lead to whatever else happens that night or that day. So that's why it's a very risky world. Don't think that your life has to be like a celebrity. You are unique. You are authentic. Be yourself. Practice this. Be the best version of yourself always. No matter what. Don't wait for other people to love you or like you. You love yourself. You like yourself first more than anything else. So the one tip I can give you on this is every single morning when you wake up, ask yourself the question, what can I do today to be better than I was yesterday? And live by that mantra and watch how your life will evolve. So for me, it's leading by example. So when people follow Nolan and they watch how Nolan is impacting the world, how Nolan is changing lives, they immediately can resonate with it and they say, but let me get in touch with this person and find out what is he doing differently that's allowing him to wake up every single day and have this big smile on his face. What's different? What's changing in his life? So I always lead by example, because if I don't take action, and the action you take is inspired action. And let me give you an example, right? Recently, in August of this year, I just came down from Mount Kilimanjaro. I took 5 deaf people with me. The reason why I took 5 deaf people is because we were raising funds to give the gift of hearing to a child that is born deaf via cochlear implants or hearing aids. And we were able to help 2 children, one 7-year-old and one 15-year-old. So if I did not take those inspired action steps, the team that was with me, they wouldn't be inspired enough to take inspired action steps on their side. So that is why I always lead by example. And my advice to people out there is don't just be a mouthpiece. Be an action taker, because that will get you a long way. Let's look at goals, for example. Let's say if I got a goal to buy a car, right? Because I really do need transport, I'm living far out, I need to get to work. Now you want to buy a car, you need to plan yourself and say, okay, what steps can I take towards that car? One of the steps would be is to start saving for a deposit, getting in touch with the bank, finding out whether you qualify for a loan. So do all of these action steps so you know ahead what needs to be done in order to achieve that goal. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a car, it can be anything that you want to do in life. So make a goal and take inspired action steps towards it. Yeah, that's a good question. So I'll be very biased if I say, get my book, right? But I think I need to mention it because it's got a very inspirational story to it. So in September last year, I became a first-time author. So you remember I spoke about my COVID experience. My COVID experience allowed me to become a first-time author. I wrote about my experience in the book, but more so why I would talk about the book is because I share mind hacks and techniques that I practiced on myself while going through that obstacle of COVID that helped me get out of it. So that's the one book. The second book I would advise you to get is Think and Grow Rich. And don't think of the book of Think and Grow Rich as getting rich only in monetary terms. It's not that. It's rich in your mind. It's rich in everything that you do. Because when you do all of these things in richness, become a better person, the money will come automatically. So don't focus on the money. You know, a lot of entrepreneurs now want to chase after the dollars. Don't just do that. And when they do that, they jump from one startup to the next all the time. So rather understand what you want to do and grow from that. The reason why I say Think and Grow Rich is because I've read that book about 4 or 5 times. And you can never get enough of that book. There's so much of knowledge that you can learn from that book. So that would be my recommendations to you.
Amazing. Let's talk about
one of my favorite quotes is, and I have this in my office as well, is always find that point in your life where you can convert any impossible into possible. Because let me ask yourself, look at my situation, for example. Everything that I've been through, every impossible situation, every obstacle that I faced, I was able to convert it into something else because of that mindset. So I live by things that says nothing is impossible, but you got to dig deep within to find the answers. No one else will have those answers for you beside yourself. The second quote that I like to leave people with is, whoever you come across, whoever you meet, try to leave them with some impression of increase. What do I mean by this? If I'm having a conversation with you, I want to leave this conversation knowing that I added some value to you in that 5-minute conversation or 1-minute conversation as well. So that's a good question, right? So remember, things will never go right all the time. you are bound to have uphills as well. So what I do is whenever things don't go right for me, I stop, I pause, I reevaluate and work out what can I do differently this time. And believe me, you as a coach, I get more no's than yeses. And I can just allow myself to get sucked into the no and think, okay, fine, it's going to put me into a depressive state and I stay there. I don't do that. I try to understand what can I do differently all the time, because we will get these obstacles all the time in our lives. We just need to understand what to do with it. The other thing I do is, and this is what helps me cope a lot, I meditate. I close my eyes, even if it's for 5 minutes.
We take it from I meditate. 3, 2, 1. I meditate. Let's go.
I meditate. And it doesn't cost nothing to close your eyes for 5 minutes and ask yourself this question, okay, what's going on now? Why did this not work according to the way I wanted it to work? And believe me, when you ask yourself these questions, automatically the answers are coming, because the answers are within you already. You're just not seeking the answers. So meditation is very important. Also, if you hit a major obstacle, let's say, for example, you're driving and something happens on the road that terrifies you, pause, breathe. Don't get stuck into this fearful situation. Because what is fear? Fear is something that we're creating in our mind that will never happen or is not going to happen at all, right? We're creating this false expectation. So don't do that to yourself. Whenever you feel that there's a lot of noise in your head, this is a good trick that I've learned. Turn down the noise. And how do you do this? You know, like you would turn your music system down, turn the volume down, turn this noise down in your mind. Close your eyes and turn down the volume. When you turn down the volume, all this unnecessary self-talk goes away. The last one on that I'd like to mention is, let's say if you are in a toxic environment or relationship or toxic family member, and it's always on your mind what's going on. Close your eyes again. Imagine there's a door in the front of your head. Open that door in your mind and invite that person to walk out. When you start doing that, you're allowing the negativity to walk out from your mind completely. And lastly, I would say is, you know what? No matter what situation you are going through, ask yourself the question, what can I get out from this? What can I learn from this? And here's a typical example, right? I've been through many obstacles in life. When I go through my obstacles, I don't just go through it. I learn and I grow through it. So very important for the viewers. Don't just go through it, rather learn and grow through it. Because those obstacles get you out from your comfort zone. When you're in your comfort zone, you're sitting like this all the time, no worry in the world, nothing's going to happen. When you start becoming uncomfortable, you open the door to grow. Well, for gold, I'm liking what I'm seeing, right? The work that you guys are doing are amazing, because there's so many stories that go untold and eventually die off with the person. Now with gold, what you're doing is you're giving people the opportunity to share their stories as well. And believe me, when we start sharing our stories, what are we doing? We're inspiring the world. There's so many people out there who will say, but hang on, I saw this guy on gold. I can resonate with exactly what he is going through as well. So for me, gold is something that's well needed. We need more of gold in the world and less of all these negative programs that are out there as well. So for me personally, I don't watch news because there's too much of negative media. So if we have a show like Gold all the time with positive, inspiring shows, you can watch this 24/7. That's such a good question. You know, when we talk about mindsets, internationally, when you look at the people, their mindsets are very similar to what we have in South Africa. Yes, the differentiating factor though, a lot of people have a mindset of scarcity. And this scarcity mindset doesn't just come about overnight. We conditioned with this, especially in South Africa where we come from, where I used to come from. I used to come from the scarcity mindset as well. Imagine being a guy that's poor, in a poor family, not enough money. That's scarcity. Not enough food. That's scarcity. Not enough water, no lights. That's scarcity as well. But here's the thing. You can choose to stay in that scarcity mindset, or you can look at the bigger picture of the world and realize there's an abundance out there. You just need to be looking deeper and seeing, what can I do to enjoy this abundance as well? There's so many opportunities out there. People need to look in those right directions, and people need to realize what they want to do, right? For me, it's about living this purposeful life that will allow me to have this abundant mindset and move away from this scarcity mindset. We're going through a lot, let's be honest, right? And if you look at the mindset of the youngsters, let's talk about the youth for a second. If the youth were in a good mindset, let's talk about the youth and their mindset. Do you think the youth, if they were in the right mindset, will they burn down a library that they would want to use in 2 days' time? Okay, let's talk about the youth for a second. The mindset that the youth are in at the moment. Okay, before I go to mindset, I can tell you upfront, the youth of today have so much of potential. They just need to be moved into the right direction. If I'm looking at the mindset that they are going through at the moment, if you tell a youth to do something, if you tell them to jump, the first thing they're going to ask you is, how high? I don't want the youth to think in that way. I want the youth to ask me the question, why do you want me to jump so high? Why? They need to question me. Likewise, when we tell our youth that they need to go and burn down the library, they must ask themselves the question, why must I burn down that library? I'm going to need it in a week's time. I need to go and study there as well. So again, it's about changing the way the youth think. This, I'll say this over and over again. Our youth have so much of potential. They are our future leaders. We need them, but we need to guide them. We need to help them to become better thinkers. And when I say better thinkers, I mean, let's teach them how to be creative thinkers, innovative thinkers, come up with ideas out there as well. So people internationally, going back to the initial question, if you look at the youth down there as well, they're doing things differently because they're being coached, they're being guided. We need the youth of Africa to be accepting of our coaching and our guidance as well. And we can't do this alone. None of this can be done alone. We need to collaborate with people that can help us groom the youth. I have a major vision for the youth in Africa, and that's to transform 1 million lives through our programs, our various programs we have, and it's all about personal mastery and self-development. Growing up, I did not have this opportunity to have a mentor or a coach. I did not have this uncle that could come and guide me and stuff like that. We were not so privileged. With the youth of today, they have so much of resources available. They need to use it in the proper, right way. So I want them to make the decision that they want to change their lives. And the moment they make that decision to change their lives, they will automatically go out and find the resources, the right resources that will help groom them into being better people. And I'm not saying they're not good humans. They are good humans, but we can all strive to be better. I want the youth to start opening up. I want the youth to realize that the South Africa that we have now, we fought for the country. We fought really hard to have freedom in South Africa. They have all of these opportunities. I want them to move away from this mindset that's been indoctrinated in them, this mindset of anger, of dislike, and I don't want to use the word hatred, of dislike, that's been conditioned into their mindset by parents, grandparents, whoever. I want them to move away from that and see the past as it is. It's the past. The only way we're going to move forward is by focusing on now and the future. We cannot go back and undo what's been being done. I lived through apartheid. If I kept that in my mind and lived as a victim, I wouldn't be who I am today. I honestly think humanity is in danger because humanity, what the negative media does is it installs fear in a person. Typical example again, COVID. When COVID came out, the news was only talking about COVID, only talking about deaths, only portraying everything that's been happening out there. And what was this doing to people? It was putting so much of fear in them that a lot of families broke up because they could not see their families. A lot of people started disliking other people that were not taking the vaccine. So it was separating humanity, right? And that's why I can't understand why we have more negative news. Here's another example, right? If I share something positive on social media, it will not fly as much as something negative. People thrive on these negative memes and stuff like that. Why? Because society has told them or guided them into following things like this, right? All the negative stuff. And you're right, a society can make or break you as well. Let's look at what happens when a truck, for example, breaks down on the freeway. What does that society or that community living there do? They want to go and ride the truck or steal from that truck. Now, who's watching what these elders are doing? It's the youth. What do the youth do? Okay, my parents are doing it, my uncles are doing it, I'm going to go and do the same. Now, let's say that youth gets caught and a record goes against their name because they stole illegally. So the youth must not follow what these adults are doing, because a lot of the adults are kind of, to put it bluntly, poisoning the mind of the youth. And me and you and a whole lot of us are fighting the system because we want our youth to do better. But then again, you get like politicians, for example, that will come and taint the mind of the youth. So to the youth out there, I would like to say is, always, if somebody tells you to do something, don't just jump and go and do it. Ask the question, why do you want me to go and burn down this building? Why do you want me to do this? Let's look at what's happening in South Africa at the moment. We have a collapsing infrastructure. If we carry on like this for the next 5 years, I can't imagine what this country is going to be like. We need to stop it now. And it goes back to this point that we think we have leadership, but we don't have authentic leadership. We have leadership that's only focused on self-centery and all about greed. What about the masses here as well? So I know we moved off topic, but it's so pertinent that the youth need to understand this. Don't just listen to anything that a politician tells you to do, or anyone else for that matter. Always question them, ask them questions. So my turning point for me was when I went through COVID in January last year. On day 6, because of all the trauma that I was experiencing, and when I talk about trauma, every time you find a bed being wheeled past you with the face covered, you know somebody has passed on. So you're witnessing this, you're witnessing operations happen in the intensive care unit. And at one point I questioned myself and I asked myself, when is it my turn? And the one on day 6 of my ICU, a doctor passed on. To me, a doctor is there to save lives. This doctor was crying out to die. He was actually pulling out these cords and falling on the floor and crying out to die. When I saw that happen, I got in touch with my family and I said to them, I can't do this anymore. I was giving up until my daughter sent me something I carry with me, which is a gold card. And I'll show you, it's in my pocket. She said to me, Dad, don't forget what your purpose is. Immediately, I had to snap out of this victim mindset, the self-pity mindset, and start changing my mind in such a way that says, remember the promise you made to them when you got admitted? You said you will walk out from this hospital. Go back and revisit that promise and start working on yourself. Don't feel sorry for yourself. That was my turning point. And it's just over a year ago, it could have been the end of Nolan. That's a good question, right? So I always go back to the values. And for me, the values are very important because we don't ever forget our roots. So I work with the person, I understand what values they have, what values they were growing up with. And if we find there's a disjoint, then we start working on helping them to get better values like respect, integrity, authenticity. Authenticity is very big for me because I want to teach them how to be human. I want to teach them how to be themselves and not lie their way through life. So I'll always start with these kind of values, but I want the trigger to come from them. So when I coach, I prompt for them to ask themselves questions and for them to give me answers. Because when they start giving me answers, automatically it shows that they're wanting to make the change. And when they're wanting to make the change, it just becomes easier. And then we sit down and we go through a personal mastery journey where I guide them basically on what I've been through and what kind of tools and techniques that I use on myself. Every single day, when I do a lot of personal mastery, I belong to an association called Mind Valley. So what I do is we have programs every day that I listen to that helps me start my day off fresh. So when you start off at 5 a.m. in the morning, for example, you'll go out for a jog, you come back, you have your shower, and then you get into personal mastery. So focus on personal mastery every single day. I guide them to do this. Another big one I teach them is gratitude. Because when we can teach them how to be grateful, the more things they become grateful for, the less things they need to be ungrateful for. So I practice this every morning, every night, and I teach them this as well. And the other one is humanity. And why do I teach humanity? Because I want them to respect a person irrespective of their race, religion, sex, color, whatever. When I look at you, I want to see a human. I don't want to see the color of your skin or what race you are or what sex you are. I want to see a human. So I would suggest, in order for you to be the best version of yourself, focus on these three things. The first one is gratitude. When you become grateful, you're going to find that there's fewer things to be ungrateful for. Secondly is humanity. Respect every person, irrespective of their race, religion, sex, or culture. When you look at a person, look at a human, right? And the third one is self-worth. When you start loving you first, it's so much more easier for you to love someone else. So it always starts from within yourself.
Thank you. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. So let thank you. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. So let
Here are my 4 major keys to success. The first one is live an authentic life. The second one is to be a better human every single day. The third one is to focus a lot on personal development. By this, I mean every single day when you wake up, learn to be a better person. Understand what can you do today differently. And the fourth one for me is become a visionary. When you become a visionary, it allows you to picture the future in your mind. And when you do that, you are able to work towards it. So the 4 major things that I use to live a successful life. Number 1, learn to be authentic. Always, not once, always. Second one is focus on personal mastery or self-mastery, because it all starts from within. Third one is learn how to be a visionary, because anything that you picture in your mind will become a reality as long as you hold on to it and you work towards it. And the last one is service. What do I mean by service? Whatever you do to become successful, do not forget you need to serve the community, serve the world. Wow, so for me, we spoke about the COVID one. Apart from the COVID experience, in December 2021, I had a mild heart attack, which meant they put 3 stents into my heart because my arteries were blocked. But guess what? 9 months later, I'm climbing the highest mountain in Africa. I'm putting my life at risk. So this goes to show that no matter what you go through in life, no matter what obstacle you face, if you put your mind to something, you can still achieve it. Anything in life. Put your mind to it, focus on it, and go out there and achieve it. So my name is Nolan Pillay, a human mindset specialist, a podcast host, a speaker, a coach, and an IT professional as well. So keep watching Gold for more inspirational stories. My name is Nolan Pillay. I'm a speaker, a coach, a podcast host, an IT professional, and a human mindset specialist. Catch me on Gold this week. My name is Nolan Pillay. I'm a human mindset specialist, a podcast host, a speaker, a coach, and an IT professional. Keep watching Gold with King Nee. So this is my gold card. My daughter took a picture of this and sent it to me while I was in ICU. And what it has on it is all my goals that I want to achieve. And as I achieve these goals, I create a new gold card. The reason why I keep it in my pocket is every time I put my hand into my pocket, it's sending me a reminder of the goals I still need to achieve. So my painful COVID experience allowed me to become a first-time author, and I wrote this book called My COVID Journey. What's important about this book is it shares mind hacks and techniques that I used and practiced on myself that got me out of that situation. But more so, if you lost a loved one and you want to know what they've actually gone through, read this book, because it will allow you to reach closure and move on with your life. I think an ordinary person needs to make the decision firstly that they want to implement change in their lives. The moment they do that, they can reach out for a coach like myself or anyone else. And let me give you an example. All the sports teams, what do they have? They have a coach. It's for a reason, for them to become better at that sport. So likewise, for an ordinary person, if you want to be better at your life, reach out for a coach, somebody whose lived experiences can help you grow as a person and become the best version of yourself. So, Be the Best Version of Yourself was specifically written in 2015 because of the situation we were experiencing and still experiencing in the country. What I saw was humans were behaving badly. People were not grateful anymore. People were not loving themselves. People did not know how to do a simple thing like meditate or pause in their life. People did not know how to become authentic leaders. So Be the Best Version of Yourself covers these core values that I believe every single person should have out there as well. So with Mind Valley, what they do is they come up with programs, monthly programs, and it's not necessarily just on personal development. It's exercise programs, it's spirituality, it's anything that you need out there. It's more of an educational platform, but not with the current education system. It's all about you as a person. So I've been with them for about 3 years, and I'm currently a senior ambassador with Mind Valley. What this means is whenever any of the new members or current members have any struggles, then I can guide them based on my experience. So I don't coach them, I share my experience with them for them to see how I used a certain program within Mind Valley to change things in my life. So that's what it really is all about. A fantastic platform, and like I said, it's all about helping you be a better you. Definitely not born with it. I was not born with all these characteristics that I have now. I had to learn it. And if you look at where I've come from, coming from a poverty background, you have like no idea what personal development is all about. I had to learn all of this. So any ordinary person, any person out there can do it. It must start with you wanting to make a change and wanting to grow as a person. Not only grow with financials, grow as a person. So anyone can do it, in my opinion. They just need to make the decision that they want to impact change in their lives and not stay stuck either in a toxic environment or toxic workplace or even toxic family. They must want better for themselves. So I always like to thank my family first, because no matter what I go through, good or bad, my family is always standing by me, without a doubt. And the team at Straight Talk with Nolan as well, we work just so well together. Even with my foundation, I have a non-profit foundation called Be the Best Version of Yourself, and that foundation was created to serve humanity. And that's how we took 5 deaf people to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, to allow them to make their dreams come true as well, and to make people realize that if a deaf person can do it, a person without a disability can do the same as well. Nothing is impossible.